Hey guys, so tonight I'm talking about the Legion 7 Gen 8. This is the 4080 version. I also have the 4070 version, so you'll be able to see a comparison between those two. And for those of you who look at my videos a lot, I don't know if you can tell, I'm in a different space. I moved recently, and that's why I haven't been posting as much. It's kind of been a nightmare to move from one house to another, and I've had so much going on. But anyway, I'm back. So this is going to be my third video on the Legion 7 Gen 8. So I'm going to breeze through a lot of this stuff. And this time I just kind of want to start with the performance, mainly the CPU, because the Legion 7 is only equipped with the 13900 HX processor, not the 13950 or the 13980 that's in some of the competition. And I know some of you guys are kind of concerned by that, but I am not at all. Let's just look at some Cinebench and some Time Spy. Just looking at the CPU scores for now, they are topping the charts. P cores, E cores, it doesn't matter how much of them they are. If you're prioritizing high frame rate games like competitive shooters, Rocket League, or Fortnite, or whatever type of game where you need the CPU to push more frames than graphical fidelity, this already is your laptop. I haven't seen anything that beats the Legion in terms of CPU bound games, and that has a lot to do mostly with the cooling. The combination of those fans and the vapor chambers are doing wonders for the CPU, better than anything else out there. And I've looked around online on Reddit, and I looked at some other reviewers, and they're getting similar scores to mine. So I don't think I won the Silicon lottery by that much. So that's that. In terms of GPU performance, it is about as good, if not a little bit better, than all the other 4080 laptops I've tested. I don't have a 4090 of the Legion, but I'm going to assume it's going to perform as good as the GT77, or maybe even better. But in terms of 4080 performance, it's the best one I have. I mean, so performance isn't an issue on this laptop, and honestly, it really hasn't been in any of the premium gaming laptops I've checked out this year. So thankfully, we're getting to the point where performance is... Well, yes, performance is the most important thing, but there's nothing performance-wise that's a deal breaker in any of the premium laptops I've seen this year. So that's really good, so that we could actually focus on the actual laptop portions of a laptop in a review, so I don't have to spend tons of time going over charts and analyzing them anymore. So I'm really, really happy about that. So let's just get into some of the other things. Let's first talk about the build and the design. I've covered the build several times in some of my other videos, but just really quickly, the lid and the back panel are made out of metal, a really high quality feeling metal. The moment you pick it up for the first time after like a long day of work, that cold metal feels fantastic. One of the better ones out there, not Razer level, but probably better than the other ones I've used this year. Unfortunately, that doesn't carry on throughout. When you open up the lid, it's plastic. The keyboard deck is plastic, the trackpad is plastic, and it's a little bit jarring, and it's a bit disappointing. Last year was metal throughout, at least mostly. This year, the entire side and keyboard deck is made out of plastic. But overall, the build's fantastic. I mean, you're not really seeing too much flex. I mean, you know what, and since I'm talking about the keyboard, this is by far my favorite keyboard. It is a joy to type on. Probably because in all of my corporate roles, most of the times I've been handed Lenovo laptops, usually the ThinkPads, and it's a similar style layout, so maybe I'm just used to it. Maybe there's some muscle memory, but I don't think that's it. I feel like the keys have like the right amount of click to it, the right amount of bounciness, the actuation force is just right to where it's easy to type on, but I don't accidentally hit other keys. The spacing is amazing, and the number pad is properly spacious and oriented correctly in terms of all the different size and the layout of the number pad. So like I am completely at home here when using this keyboard. And I do accounting and finance for a living, so having a number pad, a proper number pad, is really important to me. The trackpad feels really, really nice and is incredibly responsive. My previous video that's like 25 minutes long, when I'm comparing like three of the best 16-inch laptops, I edited it completely on the Legion. I was actually traveling with this laptop and chose this laptop to take with me out of all of those. So that might be saying something. But anyway, coming back to the trackpad, I did all of my editing on the trackpad. I kind of always said, like when I started this channel, like I don't want to talk about using my laptops as a creator because everybody on YouTube does that. And I know most of you guys aren't creators. you just work hard and you want to come home and game, or maybe you're a student and you want to game and do work. Like, not everyone's a video editor, and I feel like YouTube is just filled with those type of videos. But regardless, I mean, the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because, you know, editing a video is actual work, and I didn't have a mouse with me. It's just me on my lap using the trackpad, and it worked incredibly well. I just knew I was going to be doing some of my day job. Like I said, I'm an accountant, and I was going to do some gaming, and I was going to wrap up that video while traveling. And I felt like the combination of those three workflows were perfect for the Legion. And on top of that, as of right now, this is the cheapest 4080 out there. There's some crazy sales running on Lenovo. They don't always last, but Lenovo gaming laptops tend to go on sale a lot more frequently than any of the other brands out there. So as of right now, this is like $400 or $500 less than the Scar. So what are you sacrificing compared to the other guys? Well, first, the screen. I will say that this screen looks a lot better than it measures. You're not getting the full DCI-P3. You're not getting any kind of local dimming. Even though this display supports HDR, it's a gimmick. You turn on the switch and you're not seeing much of a difference. I think you get a little bit more brightness, but you're not getting that color pop because it doesn't have the gamut to support it. And you're not getting that amazing contrast and those bright highlights because there's no type of local dimming. It's not OLED either. So, but just playing games regularly and you're not thinking about it, it's a great experience. This Qhd screen is nice. It's sharp. It's super bright. The native contrast is actually really, really good. So even though there isn't a full array local dimming backlighting system, it still looks pretty good in a dark room even. I had no problem with it, and I feel like if I wasn't going back and forth between all the other laptops I had, I'd just be really, really happy with this. And another thing that's probably better than the other 16-inch laptops is the speakers. And I did a speaker test when I did the unboxing, and it was great. It filled the room. And again, when I traveled with it too, that was another thing I was thinking about. And one night, the company I was with, we just wanted to listen to some music and have like a little bit of disco lights going on. So I was able to use the Lenovo Vantage and use the equalizer RGB on the keyboard, and the speakers were good enough. I'm not saying it's going to replace dedicated speakers, but for what it was more than good enough. When you're gaming, it's got a nice little rumble to the bass. The mids sound pretty good, and the highs sound pretty good too. I mean, this uses a combination of Harman speakers, and the audio processing is done by Nahimic, and it's a really good combination in this laptop, so I'm really, really happy with that. So one of the cons I have about this laptop is I just don't feel like it has any personality. I think it just has like a very, very generic looking design. Most of the jobs I've worked at, I've been supplied with like a Lenovo like ThinkPad laptop. So maybe I'm just used to and bored with Lenovo's design. But I feel like, except for the RGB on the keyboard, which is really nice, by the way. It's super crisp, really, really bright, and all the function rows are illuminated, which surprisingly, in 2023, not all gaming laptops are. And also that front light bar too, which does help add some personality. I mean, it looks kind of cool from a distance, but when you start using it, I just feel like it's kind of sterile. And when it's just sitting there with all the lights off, again, it just looks kind of boring, and maybe that's the point. So I mean, I guess on the flip side of that is you can use this professionally. Next, thermals. I've covered that before. In terms of CPU, the thermals are the best I've seen. That vapor chamber and the fans are doing an excellent job. The GPU never really runs too hot. It never gets anywhere where it's concerning. In terms of the noise levels, it's similar to other laptops. Like I'm getting like anywhere between 45 and like 52 decibels between depending on the particular load. I have covered the Legion for the past 2 years now, and there's been some styling differences. They've taken away a lot of features, which you guys probably have already seen and heard about. I'm not going to go too much into that. It is what it is. If it's too much of a deal breaker for you, then thankfully competition is really strong out there, and you can find a laptop that pretty much checks all of your boxes. I've been buying the Legion every single year for like the past 2 or 3 years. So overall, even though they took away some features and they skimped on the build quality a little bit, they're heading in the right direction. I think if they could start to add back some of the stuff that they took away next year, this is shaping up to be like one of the best laptops. And honestly, if they would put a competitive panel in here, I think the other manufacturers should start getting very, very scared, because in terms of all the things that I value as a laptop enthusiast, this is top 3. It's one of the smaller, high-performing laptops out there, but it pretty much performs the best. The keyboard, to me, is the best. The trackpad is excellent. Wish it was glass, but it's excellent. The software, it's probably not as robust as some of the competition, but it's consistent, it's dependable, and it works every single time. And to me, that's more important. Honestly, I don't find myself fidgeting with the different settings and overclocking and undervolting and all that stuff anymore. Like, I just don't find myself having time. The little bit of time I have to use my laptop for things that's not work, I want to game, I want to have fun. So I'm really, really happy with this laptop, and if you buy it, I think you will be too. But I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.